Film and Games is the title of our second session of this year's Berlinale Keynotes. We heard before the break about how open source collaboration is changing the way that the traditional industry thinks and works. But some of the biggest challenges are coming from outside the film segment, namely from another branch of entertainment whose sales have long since overtaken film. Games, consoles, and accessories accounted for over 20 billion euros in sales annually in recent years. This is the fastest growing segment of the media and entertainment market, and we're going to hear next from one of its biggest stars. Jade Raymond is the producer of Assassin's Creed. It's a game that sets itself the high goal of redefining action gameplay. She's going to tell us what that means. It's a role-playing adventure game that's set in the 12th century Mideast. It took 3 years and 300 people to develop it. Jade Raymond brought it in on time and on budget, and it went on to sell 2.5 million copies within its first 4 weeks. So please welcome Jade Raymond to hear why this is not your daddy's game.
Hi, everyone. Well, I'm feeling a little bit of pressure now. That's quite the intro to live up to. Let me get my... Okay, great. So the title of my presentation is Not Your Daddy's Game, Why the Best Movie Talent is Getting Involved in Video Games. And hopefully you guys will all get really excited after this and be wanting to get involved in video games. That's my ultimate secret goal, although I guess not that secret since I just told you. So, who am I? That's me. So, some people think that maybe I started out doing some TV stuff, because I did do a bit of TV stuff, but really being up here talking to you people is not natural for me. I started out as a big computer geek, and whoops. Yes, that's me. I started out playing a lot of games when I was younger, playing with robots, and my ultimate dream was being able to make games, and this is when games like Pong and, you know, Little Adventures on your early Apple computer is what people played. And so I studied programming, and I first started working at Sony in games, and then I worked a bit at EA on The Sims Online with Will Wright, who is a real star in the game industry. And finally, I got to work on what is my dream project, Assassin's Creed. And I'm very happy to say that we've sold now over 6 million copies worldwide. And it's the fastest new franchise ever made in, well, actually made in gaming in the last 10 years. So for those who, whoops, for those who have not seen Assassins yet, oh, I will give you a little preview of a video.
God knows your lonely souls. God knows your lonely souls. God knows your lonely souls. Yeah, yeah. I believe there's a time and a place to let your mind drift and get out of this place. I'm gonna die in a place that don't know my name. I'm gonna die in a space that don't hold my name.
Okay, so one thing that you might be interested to know about that trailer is that actually it was all made within the game engine. So there weren't animators involved in making that. Their work was involved in making the game, but basically someone who has a lot of talent making videos just in his spare time spent time playing the game, and in our game engine you can adjust the camera, you can adjust the lighting, you can do all that, and he just recorded himself while he was playing in the game engine and pieced together that trailer in his spare time, and we thought it was so cool that we decided to use it and put it out on the internet and stuff. But that's the kind of thing that you can do, is as a filmmaker, you can use these kinds of engines and not use it as a tool, well, not just be playing the game, but actually use it as a tool to create your own kind of narratives. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the general video game business and what's going on these days. So the title of my talk is Not Your Daddy's Game, and one thing I wanted to talk about is that the fact that games are being played by more and more people. The time spent playing video games has doubled in the last 5 years. The average age of video game players is not little kids anymore, it's 33 years old. And actually the fastest growing segment of video game players are women and people over 35. So it's not your daddy's game, it's your grandma's game. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about the business too. Don already mentioned this in his talk, but basically video game software alone grew 28% this year. And the overall industry is 17.9 billion. That's just the software. It's expected to be bigger than TV and films put together in 5 years, although maybe if you count Bollywood, which I hear has a great growth spurt, maybe films won't get buried so much, but it is expected to be bigger in 5 years. And another interesting fact is the barometer that I learned on my recent trip to Asia is that there are just as many pirated copies of games being sold as movies. So that means that's good measure too. So the title of this talk is Collaboration. So I didn't just want to talk about the history or about Assassin's Creed or where the game industry is, but I want to also talk about the types of collaboration that have been going on between films and games for a while, because actually it's not a new thing. I think more and more people are getting interested in games, and I mean, it's amazing for me to be standing here in front of you and know that people from the film industry who are here for, you know, an international film conference actually are interested in hearing something from me about video games. But the collaborations did start a long time ago, and it started with licenses. So if you want, you can watch this video and try and guess the game movie license.
With video games. So actually only some of these videos, I mean, even though they look very close, are film footage. The rest is in-game. So I'm calling this segment the good, the bad. We'll save the ugly for a little bit later. But only some